Today, for the next hour, we're going to go through some of the key principles for public image for Rotary. So firstly, we're going to have a bit of a chat about public image and why it matters to the well-being of your club. Secondly, we're going to try something new, and we're going to conduct an online interactive poll, and we're going to get you to answer some questions, and the results should hopefully come up instantly so you know where you're at with your club and your public image matters. Thirdly, Julie Mason, whose face I can see on the screen at the moment. Good morning, Julie. She's going to guide us all through the maze of getting onto the Brand Centre on Rotary International's website, which is always a challenge for everybody. This is a really important and useful site, so we hope this little short tutorial were useful to you all. And lastly, we're going to have a short video by Bernadette Schwartz, and she's going to offer us some really good ideas about how to tell our Rotary story. So I'm really pleased, oh hang on, what's happened to my thing here? Really pleased to introduce you all to Julie Mason, who I have with you today. Julie was the District Governor of District 9800 during 2015-16, and she's here today in her role as the Zone Public Image Assistant Coordinator. It's a bit of a mouthful, Julie. And I'm really thrilled that I particularly have her expertise to help guide all of us to having excellent public image for our individual clubs. So Julie, welcome. Are you muted?
Thanks, Janet. You're making me feel very nervous when you mention Julie Mason and expertise in something in the one sentence. My background is in education, and it's the most liberating thing in the world, folks, when you can say no matter what your age, you're still a learner. So for a principal and teacher to be able to say that, I think it's just very liberating. I am by no means an expert in public image, but I'm happy to learn along with you and happy to show you some of the things that I've learned. And see those fingers crossed? Every time I try something like this, I keep my fingers crossed. So please, as we go on the journey, let's just learn together.
So Julie, last year we had a logo that looked a bit like a colour splotch, and the theme was Rotary Connects the World. And this year it changed again to a lot of coloured doors, open coloured doors. And this year's theme is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Do we have to change every year? How important is this to have the messaging correct?
Oh, look, I think it's super, super important. But let me just say one thing hasn't changed. The one thing about Rotary, or many things haven't changed, but the one thing about Rotary in terms of the message is service above self. That's actually never changed. And that, I think, is really the heart and soul and perhaps the head around Rotary. So let's remember that. But in 2013, Rotary International had a good hard look at what was going on in Rotary, and probably compared to the Golden Arches, decided that Rotary had some pretty mixed and confused messages. When we see the Golden Arches anywhere around the world, I reckon we know what that is, what it stands for, and whether or not we agree with the diet involved in it. It's a very memorable and rememberable kind of brand. So with that study, emerged from there a freshen up, if you like, of what Rotary, how Rotary looks to the outside Rotary world. But I've got to tell you though that with any brand, and Nike's another one, we all know Nike, just do it. I kind of like that part about Rotary too. I like that message. But really, if we're not living out what Rotary means to us, and if we're not able to explain the value proposition of Rotary, it doesn't really matter what's said. So I think that's the thing that we need to remember. Service above self, and how we live out our Rotary world and be able to explain that means more than almost any branding exercise. Now, that being said, when I was District Governor, the theme for that year was a gift to the world. And when you go into that role, the theme becomes something that you can help people focus on in that year of Rotary service. And there's been some amazing themes, that being one, of course, is memorable to me, but Rotary Connecting, and now Rotary offering opportunities. So this is just a way that we can kind of reflect and refresh in the year ahead and what's been perhaps in the year past. But the basic thing in all of this is how you feel about your Rotary and how you are able to communicate how you feel about it. No brand's going to supersede what you can tell from within about your projects and what they do and make a difference in our world. So I hope that kind of gives some context to it, Janet.
So that's very interesting. Look, if we have all the clubs in our district, all 50 of them, they will have absolute perfect branding, everyone's identical, and we go to a lot of effort to do that, what's the likely outcome going to be? Isn't it enough just to have Rotary identified? Why do we need to have all the bells and whistles attached?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think you've made a good point there. You might be trying to be a bit provocative for me now, but I think you have made a good point, because we are all Rotary. And I think we do complicate matters when we oversell the I'm in this club or I'm in that club. What I've learned living in my area out in the city of Wyndham, growth area, so far not in lockdown, folks, keep your fingers crossed about that one. What I've learned is that out in Wyndham there are 5 Rotary clubs, but people just know you through Rotary. They know that Rotary does stuff, they know that Rotary works in the community. And so maybe we do overcomplicate a little bit. Maybe we should just be satisfied that we're Rotary and what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, and how we're seen as Rotarians. But that being said, you know, we are members of a certain group in Rotary, and we're always enormously proud of that. And so I think it's about keep it simple, stupid really in some ways. And I've seen some good things now emerging where, first of all, clubs are using the correct branding, and it looks fresh. And it's 7 years old, for goodness sake. So surely we've all changed our wardrobe in the last 7 years. And so therefore, if you are looking at, you know, freshening up your look, whether that's the T-shirt or whatever it is, please, 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 you know, don't live in the past. Live in the present and in the future with the branding, and that will help a lot in terms of minimising the confusion. And, you know, just that proud state about Rotary, I think will really help too, to alleviate some of the confusion around it. But the consistent messaging is the main thing. And again, harking back to my response to question 1, if you don't live and breathe and be proud of what we're doing in Rotary, it won't matter what you're wearing. People won't see, they'll see through it rather than see what you are doing and what you stand for.
So one of the things I worry about is the photos that we upload. So how much is enough? You know, some clubs like to put up lots and lots of photos on their various social media sites because, well, members of clubs love to see themselves on the internet. Do we have any Rotary guidelines about photos?
Yeah, there are some guidelines, and we'll I wonder if do you know how to use the hands button on your screen? Because I just wonder if we could put a thumbs up now if you actually have got yourself onto My Rotary. You're through Rotary.org and you've got your own My Rotary account. Yep. I can't see you all anyway. That was a dumb thing to say, Julie, but I'll take your word for it. Oh, yeah, now I can. Okay. Okay. So we're going to try and get you on by the end of this session, because then the response to that becomes quite easy, because you can get in and see all the helpful guidelines that are there for you. So yes, there's some very practical guidelines about using photos. Don't you use my photo without my permission. Please don't do that. Definitely, as an educator, please do not take photos of children without the permission given by parents, you know, schools, all that paperwork that should be done is really important. I guess it's a photo and what message you want to take. Now, I'll just give you a couple of examples of things that I've seen that have worked really, really well. Predominantly in my part of the world, I'll grant you, but really well. So you know that project where a few of these, and they are guys in Rotary, I haven't done this yet, but they get in and they do a little mini reno, you know, and two examples I've got are a house, a woman who just needed a bit of a freshen up of her bathroom. So three of the guys from our club who have the skills got in and did it. So they did before photos, they did during photos, and they did after photos. So those photos became a really good demonstration of what Rotary's done and why it's been done. So those photos, a sequence of them, are much more powerful than handing over a check to someone to do that little mini reno. So that would be one example. Another example is I know a lot of clubs are trying to connect and successfully connect with schools. And thank you very much to the clubs who do that, because schools need Rotary more than you realise. And there's lots of opportunities within the school system for Rotary and schools to really have some good synergy. But a lot of clubs hand over money for scholarships, art scholarships as one example. Much more powerful, instead of that handing over the money, to take some photos of the kids doing their artwork, take some photos of the finished product, take some photos of the families and the kids coming along to the Rotary Club and being celebrated for what they've done, and photos that go with that on your social media. Much more powerful photos than the one photo that has the handing over the check. So I'd say, Janet, just summing it up, be really careful that you have permission for photos. Get the photos action orientated and results orientated would be my suggestion around the photos.
Great suggestions there, Julie. This is a really unique time, as we're all aware, and many people in Rotary have taken this extra time to upskill their IT knowledge. Considering the average age of a Rotarian is 71, do you have any hints about how this particular age group might improve their skills?
John Germ was a Rotary International president not so long ago, and he had three little words that he used to say. It was more in relation to memberships, and it was ask, ask, ask. And I reckon you can almost relate that to what we're talking about now. Ask people who know. Ask your grandchildren, depending on their age. I have three grandchildren, a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a nearly 4-year-old. They're showing me things on Messenger, able to put in little hearts and all that sort of business in things they send me that I have no idea how to do it. So my goodness me. So we've got that opportunity through the younger members in our club. I don't think 71 is all that old either, by the way, to be honest with you. And if I can continue learning at like nearly 69, I think we can all continue learning. And it really is about having that mindset that you can learn, and then getting the people who can show you. And as I say to people, it'll probably take 3 goes with me if you show me something new, because it isn't natural to me. And the rapid pace of change in technology can be a little bit scary. But I decided a long time ago I didn't want to be like my mother and not know how to use an ATM. So that means that I need to keep up with technology. And interestingly enough, once you start and have that attitude, there are plenty of people who love showing you and coaching you and kind of being there for you when you need them. I'm going to learn how to look after our website. I really don't know terribly much about it, but Michael Lapina, who's come in as our president, is going to work with me on that. And I'm really glad, because it'll be a bit of new learning for me. So my thing is just be curious and be persistent. I've got something wonderful I'm going to share this afternoon at a national level around someone in our district who's developed sort of a new template. And I was playing with that yesterday, getting terribly frustrated. But that 1 minute, when I nailed part of it, it was awesome. So just be persistent, just be curious, and ask people to help would be my message.
Thank you, Julie. So I want to move on to the second part of our breakout session this morning, and we're going to have a go at doing this live poll. So Tim, this is a little bit I'm nervous about, because I'm not quite sure whether I press buttons or you press buttons.
I think everyone just presses the poll button and they'll see the poll in front of them and they can just select the answers to the, there's 2 lots of 10 questions.
Rightio.
I'll launch it now. And
so I've got one that looks like, so if we just go through these questions together, and as we press in our answers, we should be able to see the results. So the very first question, I should give you some background. Julie and I thought that doing a little live poll audit with everyone who's here would be really useful because it would help benchmark your club against everybody else. It also serves as a bit of a reminder of the sort of things that you could or you couldn't be considering for your forthcoming year as a public image lead. I'm assuming you're in some sort of leadership public image role in your club. So let's get stuck in and find out what we do and what we don't know. So first of all, and we only wanted, this is short, sharp and quick, just whatever's off the top of your brain. I don't want you to go away and research and look at anything. This is just getting it out of your head. So is there a person in your club with the responsibility of managing your public image? I'll give you about 20 or 10 seconds to pop yes or no in. Oh yeah, we know.
So don't move around. If you stay still, if you stay forward, you need to.
No.
Because what happens if you notice if you're leaning forward, you still you don't. It might as well.
So there's 19 people. We've got 10% voted so far. Does it take a while to come through, Tim?
no, it's more, I think it's there, or you might have to just refresh your screen. I see you've got 100% yes on the first question.
But at the top it says 3 out of 19 people. So we've got 21% of people have voted so far.
That means they've finished, yeah. So if you go down, you'll see co-hosts, so you can't vote. Julie, nor me. If you use your mouse to go down, you'll see.
No, I've got 5 out of 6.
I've got 6 out of 19 have voted, I can see.
Yeah, 9 out of 19. Yeah.
That's it.
Get those votes in, people. Come on.
They're doing well.
Well, Tim, I've clicked the box, but it's not doing anything.
Might not do anything from your perspective, but we can see at the moment we've got 10 of 19 people have voted.
And that means
you must
voting.
You must hit the submit button if you can still see the poll on your screen.
Mark, I'm hitting the submit button, but it's not submitting.
Oh, I see.
Click the mouse harder.
I must admit, I'm having
That's it.
Oh, I see what's happening. People are scrolling through and answering the questions as they go.
Yes, they go right down till the end.
Yep.
Right, got it. Sorry, got it.
I've done that, and I don't think I've submitted.
Have you done all the questions? You might have skipped one.
I'll have a look back and check it.
Big blue button right at the very bottom.
Yeah, I've got it. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to say yes.
The other thing is get your mouse and just whack yourself in the head and have another look.
Do you want us to answer every question, then hit submit, or one?
Yes.
Judy, I think it might be useful just to do the whole lot all at once.
Yeah.
I was planning to do one at a time, but this is all new for us. We've never done it before.
It won't let you submit
it. Oh, it won't let you do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you've got to do them all before you submit.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, no, one tick, and the next one goes to a ring. Oh, it won't work.
Well, we've got 17 locked in.
Yeah, yeah,
There may be some people who have not got their video on or anything, and they might, I'm not sure what they're involved in, how Helen and Rod are going, but, oh, Rod's on anyway. That's 18 of 19.
Yeah.
I've done mine. Helen here, I've done mine too.
Thanks, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Now, Janet, we've still got one to go, but that might
be everyone, do you think?
Hi, Helen.
What I can do is finish it, and then we can start. You've got another 10 questions. Do you want to talk about these ones first? Or?
Yeah, I think we'll just review these, and then we'll move on to the next lot. So I'm just going to whiz through the results. 94% of the 18 people have said they've got a person in their club with the responsibility of managing their public image. So that's very reassuring. We have a devoted person. The person who's managing your club's public image, the results come in that, oh, it's about even. 28% have done the training, 33% haven't done the training, and 40% they're not quite sure whether they've done the training. So that's something to think about getting that individual off and doing all the little training resources that are on Rotary International. And if you don't know where they are, we can certainly direct you towards the training resources. The next question about your current wheel. 67% of people say that you're using the current wheel. 11% say you're not using the current wheel. So that's interesting. The wheel's been around a while. And 22% of people are unsure. So for those people who are unsure, it's probably a good idea to go and confirm your information and sort it out. Your newsletter. This is interesting. 61% of people say they have the current district governor's name. Now that's pretty good, 5 days into the new year. 28% said that they don't have the current district governor's name, and 11% said they're unsure. The next question, number 5, does your newsletter have a current logo? Whoops, sorry, I've just accidentally moved off something. All right. Does your newsletter have the current logo, the coloured doors, and the theme, Rotary opens opportunities? This is pleasing considering we're 5 days into the new year. 72% have said yes. That's pretty good. The question about could a stranger read your newsletter? Are the acronyms explained? 61% have said yes, which is pleasing. 22 said no, and 17% of people said they were unsure. So that obviously there's a little bit of revision work for everyone to go and have a look at their newsletter. I know the newsletters are written for Rotary to be read by Rotarians, but it's always a good test to see whether someone who has nothing to do with your area gleans enough information from that newsletter to make sense to them. So it's worthwhile going and getting your next door neighbour maybe to go and have a look. Does your newsletter protect the privacy of its members? This is one of the things that I worry about when we've got public newsletters on websites, etc. We need to make sure that we're not gossiping about people. 72% are saying definite yes. No one put no in, and a few people were unsure. So there's a little bit of learning for everybody to go and have a little bit of a review about what the newsletters contain. The font size of the newsletter. 39% said it was at font size 14, and quite a number of people said either no or they're unsure. The font size just means that it makes it very easy to read for everybody. It's big. That's what we mean. And of course the newsletter sometimes gets printed out, left in various places, so you want it to, primarily you need the thing to be readable. So having it in a big font size goes a long way to achieving that. So question 9, if you have a Rotary sign at the entrance of your town, is it current, clean and visible? So this is interesting. 33% of people have offered a yes, 50% of people have offered a no. So there's really clear information there about going and reviewing your Rotary sign, and 17% weren't quite sure. So there's a little bit of homework for everybody to do, to go and have a look at your Rotary sign and make sure that it's clean, current, visible. Of course, this is the primary thing that people see as they're driving through their towns. And of course, we're all going to be driving through each other's towns a lot more than we ever have, because we're not going to be able to visit Venice any longer. We're going to be going to Bairnsdale for our holidays.
Janet, I said no in that, but generally at the beginning of the town, you all get a 30 centimetre square to put your sign on. So you put the wheel, you can see it. If you put the wheel with the Rotary beside it, it's going to be so tiny that no one will be able to read it.
Yeah, good point, Bill. And question 10, have you made preparations to upload the new Rotary theme to all of your products? 67% said yes, 11% said no, and 22% are unsure of where they're up to. So I hope everyone's found the first 10 questions interesting and the results interesting, and that's given you some food for thought. So we might move on to part 2 of the questions. Tim, can you launch that, or do people just?
No, I'll get rid of that. The only thing is these results go, so I'm not.
What do I do about share? It's got a sign there that says share results, or maybe I should
do that. Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Okay, right.
I'll relaunch polling, and there's the new poll. So everyone should be able to view it now and put in there.
That looks like the old one.
No, well, did you like the old one? Maybe I'll better get rid of that. Let me just see how I wonder how I get onto the second one. No, that's no good. Stop share results. That's a good question. Mark, do you have any ideas how I get to the second poll I've created?
I've just put it up, Tim. The second poll.
You have?
Yeah. And now you think I'm very smart. All I did was look up the top for polling, and it had a drop-down box that said polling 2, second set of questions.
I do think you're very smart, so there you go.
Well,
not on the screen yet, guys.
I'll leave it to you.
Not up on the screen yet.
Oh, okay. I'll launch the polling then. Sorry, I should have done that.
Yep.
Now
That's it. Good.
Ah, we've got it. Lovely. Thank you, Julie.
Oh.
That's funny. Mine didn't have that. Oh well, learning.
That's it. See how good it is, Tim?
Always learning. Yeah, absolutely.
You do all the time. Have access to a decent camera.
Yeah, Veronica's is great.
Yeah, I think we're probably pretty right there with that. We could do a better one than we have, but we don't have it. Come on, you slide down.
Gee, they're pretty good at this, Janet and Julie.
Yes.
Whipping through it.
Tim, I'll get you to send me 3 dot points as to how to do a poll, because I really don't know how to do it, even though you think I do.
The funny thing is I still can't see that option, so I'm going to have to practice that, but I've got the poll control now, though.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So I was a bit worried I still had it.
Good results here.
Janet, just a query. The last question, does your Facebook page, is it monitored? Who would monitor it?
You would have somebody, by that I mean, do you have somebody whose job it is to go onto your Facebook page, look at all of the posts, respond to them, you know, with a like or a comment, like interact with somebody.
Somebody within the club?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably your club, the Facebook administrator.
Yeah.
For your club.
Okay.
Our Facebook page has an auto reply which says that that's not monitored, but someone will see it in the next few days and will respond to you then. So they get an immediate response, but sometimes the response doesn't really match the question, but at least they know that someone's going to reply in the next few days.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Probably just got 2 to go, Janet, I think, and we can...
Yeah, I'm just nearly done.
You can probably start anyway, just in case we're not sure.
That's good. All right. I will. That'd be great. So question number 1, does your website have the phone numbers of the current secretary or president in an easy to find location? I put this question in here because I did a bit of an audit of everybody's website in the district around about this time last year, and I struggled to find the phone numbers, the contact details of the current secretary of president. And when you're somebody who's considering joining your club and you look up your club on Google and you think, oh, I'll just give somebody a call or find some more information. If you have to dig around and look for the secretary, you've kind of lost them straight away, because it's just sending a message out there that we don't really want you to contact us. And having contact us, we'll get back to you, isn't really useful. You really need to have a phone number so that you can ring immediately and someone will answer on the other end. Hi, I'm considering joining your club. I want to know more about things. It needs to be responsive. The results for this say that we've got 50% of people in this meeting who have got a yes answer to that. So there's 28% have said no and 22% have said they're unsure. So there's some homework for everyone to go and have a look at their website and make sure that they've got the current phone numbers and contact details of both your new secretary and your new president. So don't put the old contact details in there. It's just not going to be useful. You need to have the new people in there. So question 2, do the photos that are posted on your website or your Facebook page reflect your club goals? Now the results here are rather interesting because we've got 44% that say yes, 22 say no, and 33% are unsure. So there's clearly some homework for everybody to do. But the general idea with this is that if your club goal is to, let's say, have more women in the club because we've identified we haven't got enough women, does your website have women on in the pictures so that women who are looking for a club see women in your club and go, oh look, there's women in this club, I might join the club because it's got women in it, that sort of thing. So you need to reflect whatever your club goals are in your photos. You could even put your club goals on your website so that prospective people who want to join your club could read them and see where the club is going with their goals. Does your club have a decent camera? 78% of people are saying yes. Excellent job. Does your website include the Rotary causes, i.e. fighting disease, polio, etc.? The results are a little bit even. So 39% are saying yes, 22% a definite no, and 39% are unsure. So there's some homework for everybody to go and have a look about your website. Is it including all of the Rotary causes? Once again, random person looking for Rotary on Google finds your club's website. What's Rotary all about? Here are the causes. Oh, clean water, that's important. Mothers and children, that's important. I want to be involved in that. If it doesn't have the causes in there, we are not selling Rotary to the community. 5th question, do the photos reflect the diversity of your club? So 50% of people have said yes, 22% have said no, and 28% of people say that they are unsure. So we want those photos of your club with the doing photos, the photos of action to reflect all the people in your club, not just, hopefully you have a diverse club that you can demonstrate, but you want to make sure that every aspect of your club is in there. So if you have women in your club, put women in the photos. If you have young people in the club, put the young people in the photos, etc., etc. You don't want it to be a sort of singular group of people that you want to include everybody in your photos, which isn't to say that you need a group photo for everything. You just need to have, it just needs to reflect the diversity of the club members, because if you're attracting members to your club, you're inviting them to a group. If you can't see yourself in that group, can't see yourself reflected in there, you're less likely to want to join the club. All right, so do your photos showcase the achievements of your club? Oh, this is really exciting. 78% have said yes, so that's really, really good. Small percentage have said they're unsure, so those people who said they're unsure, a little bit of homework for them, but that's a very pleasing result. 78% of people consider their photos showcase the achievements of their club. Do your banners and core flutes have the correct wheel? So this is not too bad, 67, so that's about 2/3 of the group are saying that they've got the correct wheel on your banners and core flutes. So there's about 30% not sure. So a little bit of homework, go out and have a look at, go and do a little bit of an audit on your banners and core flutes. Number 9, have you considered auditing your banners and core flutes and discarding your old items? This is a pleasing result because 72% of the clubs have said they're thinking of having a look at their resources, which is good. At some point, we all need to do a little bit of housekeeping and throw out the old stuff and bring in some new, fresh items. And the last question, last but not least, is your Facebook page monitored? And the question was asked before about what we meant by monitoring. 78% of people have said that their Facebook page is monitored, which is very pleasing. there's nothing like going on a Facebook page and posing a question or asking something, and then it just goes nowhere, and you think, well, nobody cares. You need somebody to monitor it, to go onto the Facebook page every day or so and respond to individuals, particularly individuals who are linking into your Facebook page from outside, or they're a new member. They need to get a response because it's social media. So it's social. You need to have a discussion, a public discussion, and somebody from the club, a representative, needs to respond to that person and answer their questions. It's just good customer service. Okay, so Tim, what do we do with this next? We share the results. I've got a button here that says share results.
I was sharing it with everyone. I think everyone's
okay.
At that time.
Marvellous. I'm not sure how we can get the results in a, we haven't quite thought about how we can send out the results to people, but I'm sure we'll be able to capture them somehow.
Yeah, Mark thinks they are capturable, so we're recording all this anyway, so...
Oh, beautiful. All right. Okay, so we might move on to part 3 of our day, which is back to Julie, who's going to show us a little bit of a guide on how to get to the brand centre on Rotary International. Over to you, Julie.
Okay, all right, well, we'll give it a go. And again, patience, please, as we do this. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of that. I'll go in this one. Go into Rotary.org, and I'm not sure that everyone had sorted out an account for themselves, so it's not difficult to sort out an account if you haven't. I have, so I'm going to sign in with my Rotary now. Sorry, this is going to be a bit laborious.
I'm still teaching. That won't get her in. That's all.
Now you all know my email. And hopefully it is signing in. It doesn't look too hopeful, does it?
Julie, I think you've got some capital letters in your
yeah, no, I have. I'm in. All right, so there you go. So it's just if you haven't developed an account, please do, because the world of Rotary opens up to you once you have got an account in Rotary.org, and you personalise it. Then I call it My Rotary, so once you are in, there's a whole world of information that opens up for you. And just so that you can see now, exchange ideas, take action, all the things that you can do. We heard before about learning and reference. If you want to know a little bit more about public relations, you can go down to that area there and have a look, and that gives you an insight into how you can learn more about it. And I would suggest that you do have a bit of a look at that. We're going to march through a little bit and get into Brand Centre because some of you will have already probably got to this point. So we'll go into now the Member Centre, okay? And in there I am going to, oops, where are we? I am going to go to the Brand Centre.
Yep.
And you can't actually get in here into this part unless you are a member. So once we get into the brand centre, again, it opens up a whole lot of possibilities for you, including when we were talking before about various guidelines that are available for you to have a look at. Not in Japanese unless you speak Japanese, but there are all sorts of languages there. So there's Rotary Public Relations Guide, a People of Action Style Guide, which helps with the actual correct branding, social media, guidelines around social media. So there's a lot in there for you that around the messaging. There's a messaging guide. This one I'm going to be having a look at in terms of the websites, just to see what I should be thinking about for our website. So for you, there is the information that you need to be confident that you are adhering to what Rotary International expects in terms of that consistent messaging and the colour schemes, etc., etc. So then I was going to show you the images actually. So we'll go into images and video. And when we've talked a bit about photography. So in here, not that I'm suggesting you should be using these images, but if you go in and have a bit of a look at them, you don't see any at all with the hand over the check scenario. And it gives you, I was in having a bit of a play yesterday, and it gave me some ideas around, you know, I was talking about the art scholarship, you know, and if you are going to be working, taking the action-based photos, Janet mentioned about if that's what your club is and you've got that diversity of membership, why wouldn't you be using those images to show and reflect over and over again? They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So, you know, there's some things in here that can be used, but you will have your own. I found, just having a quick look at this yesterday, we're going to be in our club having a bit of a focus on the environment because we've got 2 new members who are absolutely passionate about it. So we've had our river keeper speak to us on Zoom. We had Ludovic speak to us on his work that he's doing. We've had a focus all in the last few weeks that I haven't seen such energy for ages. So it occurred to me in my public image role that I should be capturing this journey now that we're starting on, which is a bit of a new focus for our club. So that's just to give you sort of, and there's some great videos in there as well. So let's have a look within the logos. So really, there's probably no excuse not to have the correct sort of, as Janet talked about, consistent messages through the logos and using what it is that RI is saying after all that research. If we nail this, we are going to have more people knowing exactly what, you know, Rotary is. And the professionalism associated with all the great work that we do. So if you go into that section there, you can get in further and have a bit of a look at some of the logos. I won't go into downloading, but you can download templates and use them, and it is honestly quite easy once you get started with it. I wanted to have a look at People of Action. Some of the photos there. So quite a good little section there that I had a read of yesterday, just around why our image in Rotary does matter. So even if you get in and have a look at that, there's a little bit of information there about a Rotary brand. And if you were talking to your club about the importance of it, there's just some really great stuff, even good stuff for your newsletter, just to put a context around perhaps what you're going to be focusing on this year, where Rotary opens up opportunities. And then to the side, just at a glance, you've got the messaging guide and some of the information that I showed you before. So let's see if we can get into go in here. I want to go into people of action. Now this is the learning bit, folks, because every time I come in here, I figure out a different way to get into it. Some promotional resources. And there's some banners all around the themes that Janet was talking about. Now, come on, one of you smarties there, tell me how to get in quickly to people of action.
Janet, do a little search. Put up right up top right hand corner, do a little search.
Good man. When this first started, it wasn't terribly intuitive. I would say it is quite intuitive now, but it's not working for me right now. Oh, it's naughty.
Julie, it might be time to do Bernadette's.
You want to do it? Okay.
Little video.
Well, I hope I haven't confused you more. What I wanted to do is show you what the possibilities are. And in here, there is particular focus on people of action. And it is a really good, if you like, focus that RI would be saying we should be looking at in terms of showcasing what we do, because we are people of action. So when you get a chance, get in and see if you can get in quicker than what I did. But for now, we'll get out of there and we will go into...
So we've got a 7-minute video to show everybody, and that'll take us to just after 10 o'clock. And then we just want a little bit of closing from Mark Humphreys. So I know this session was to go till 10. It probably will go till about maybe 10 past at the moment.
Yep.
Just to let everybody know in case you need to go to church or...
All right, I'm just trying to get back in now to where I want to be. I'm really scared now that I go out of here and I'm going to lose you all. I'm so sorry about this. I'm going to stop the share just for a moment and I'm going to go back in again. Why on earth is that still there? Oh, God's sake. Okay. I've just got this.
I think you put C's in there. I think you've accidentally changed your link.
Just this little video from a lovely girl called Bernadette Schwartz. And she talks very much around the importance of being able to tell your Rotary story. And the message really here is that everyone has a story to tell in Rotary. And coming from your members and what it is that is important to your club and people being able to tell that story is really, really important. And so for Bernadette, she's more than happy to come and assist with that. But listen to her. We'll show you just a bit of a structure that she provided at the end. And then if you nail nothing else, as well as all that Janet's talked about the consistent messaging, and you can get people within your club who are proud of the achievements of what you do, why you do it, and the outcome for people, you will have nailed it in terms of public image in Rotary. So here we go.
We haven't got any audio, Julie.
Yeah, Julie, you'll have to share sound on your
You might need to start again, because when the share screen box pops up, there's a little box to tick to share sound as well.
That's right, yep.
Have you got it or no?
We just haven't got any sound, Julie.
Still not?
No.
Oh dear.
Julie, when you go to share screen, yes, as Kip said, that down the bottom right-hand corner, I think it says share sound as well.
Yeah, I did it before I started it all though. I don't know what's happened. I've lost it, have I?
We can always distribute the link anyway on our giving back to people when we was.
Here we go. Sorry, it must not save.
No, I don't think it does.
All right, I've hit it again.
I thought my dad didn't have the time, but he still did it.
Take you back a bit. Okay, sorry about that.
Hello, I'm Bernadette Schwert and I'm a member of Rotary Essendon. And Julie Mason has asked me to put together this little video as a training device to help a few people understand how you could potentially tell a good story about why you've joined Rotary, with a view that it will inspire others to join Rotary as well. So it's really about how do we use this as a membership tool so that we can have other people join Rotary and understand the beautiful benefits that we bring to Rotary and that Rotary gives back to us. So I'm going to tell a little story about how I became a member of Rotary, and my Rotary story. Everyone's got one. And then I'm going to tell you the technique that I use to actually tell the story, so that hopefully you, if you need to structure to understand, you know, to tell a story, you can do so using the structure that I'm about to give you. So I'll just tell you my Rotary story as to why I became a member, because that's truly, I think, the best way that people understand it as to how they can get something from Rotary is to tell our story. So it's about 6 years ago, and I'm in my late 40s. I know I don't look a day over it, but and I'm just, you know, going about my normal life, and I've got a young child, and I've got my own business, busy like everybody. And a friend of mine rings up and he says, look, I'm doing a speech for the Rotary Essendon group on social media, but I can't do it. Can you do it for me? Because you live in the area. I said, yeah, no problem, I can do it. So I turn up to this event, and honestly didn't even know Rotary was still going. You know, I knew it was amazing, but I just didn't, it wasn't in my world. So these amazing people, great turn up, do my speech, and I'm about to leave, and they go, oh, just before you go, would you like to become a member of Rotary? And I said, well, I wasn't planning on it, you know, it wasn't on my mind that I'm going to become a member of Rotary today. But they kind of talked me, they didn't talk me into it, they talked to me about, well, what does it involve? And I must admit, it was the people around me that I was very impressed with, that I thought, well, if you're a member of Rotary, it's got to have something going for it. But the only problem was I wasn't ready to join. You know, I had, like I said, a busy job, bringing up a small family, young family. I just didn't have the time to commit. And I didn't want to just do it piecemeal. So I said, you know what, I'm actually not going to join. And then I went home and I thought about it, and I thought, I'm getting near 50. And I look back at my father, who sadly passed away now, but when he was alive, he was an amazing community man. He was in every committee, you know, the school committee, the sporting committee, Knights of the Southern Cross, everything. He was so committed, as was my mother as well. And I remember thinking, when I looked at my dad, you know, growing up, I thought, I guess I'll one day be like that. You know, I'd like to be that kind of community spirited person, but not yet. You know, I haven't got the time. And I thought, my dad didn't have the time, but he still did it. And if I want to honour the legacy that my dad left me, which was to be as good as he could be, as good as he was, I thought, now's my time. You know, there is never a good time to join Rotary, but you just make the time. And I thought, if I want to be like him, then I've got to do something the way he did. So I rang them back and I said, you know what? Now's my time. I'm ready to join. So I joined, and instantly, you know, I was given the job of organising speakers for my club, and it was a perfect job for me because I'm in that world. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. That's not a big deal for me to organise some friends to come along and other people to come and speak. And I took a great deal of joy in being able to provide some really good speakers for the club, because the better speakers you get, the more people you get. The more people you get, the more people get to hear about Rotary. And so that job led to a series of other jobs, like emceeing some events and speaking at the national conference, training presidents and doing workshops for groups. And it was just things that I would do anyway. And it just felt like I'm doing it for a really good cause. And it wasn't a massive effort because, like I said, that's my skill set. But what I got back from it was, firstly, work. You know, people engaged me and people bought my courses because of what they'd seen. I sold tons of books because the Rotary people are very supportive, not to mention all the contacts I got from that. I got to meet some amazing people who've been incredibly beneficial in terms of, you know, my world and my life. So even though I joined Rotary to give back and to honour my dad's legacy and to be, you know, follow in his footsteps, what I actually got was far more than that. And I have to say, it's been very, very good for business. And I didn't join it for that, but it's been a wonderful side benefit. So for me, the lessons I've learned about joining Rotary is that there's never a good time. And you can always find an excuse and there'll always be something else you can do. But at some point you say, well, what legacy do I want to leave to my children? How do I want to be in this world? And what kind of person, you know, do I want to sort of project? And what kind of... how do I want to give back? What's my role in giving back here and what can I do? And so I guess if you're listening to this and you're wondering why you should become a member or, you know, what to do next, I'd say just think about the things that you can do for Rotary. It doesn't have to be on a long-term, ongoing basis. It can just be ad hoc. It can be the things that you enjoy doing, that you find easy. And eventually people will recognise that and they'll start to seek you out the way they have me. And I think it's about what you can do. It's not what you feel you have to do, but the small things, and everyone contributes their 1%. It contributes amazingly to this amazing organisation. So that's my Rotary story. So let me just now kind of take a sidestep or back or whatever we want to call it. I want to show you the technique that I actually used to tell that story. And it's called the hero's journey. And it's a documented template as to how to tell a powerful story. And it's not my template. The template belongs to a man called Joseph Campbell, who was a mythologist, an anthropologist, a psychologist, lots of ists. And he was very interested in the myths of the world and the folklore and the fairy tales, and very curious as to why certain stories get passed down through generations and can, you know, continue on across continents, and other times stories just stay in the small little village and never actually have a life outside of that. And when he did all his research of, you know, all the folklore of the worlds, he discovered that certain stories have, the ones that continue, have a structure. And he wrote a book called The Hero's Journey about this structure. And this process and template probably would have remained a little bit niche to certain cohorts until George Lucas, the producer, got a hold of it, and he shared it with his colleague Steven Spielberg. And they used this storytelling template to write their scripts. And based on this script template, they created Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws. And then it went on to be Legally Blonde and so on and so on, and all amazing. Not just their movies, but every other producer in Hollywood thought, well, how do I create a blockbuster? Let's use that. So now every scriptwriter understands the hero's journey. So I want to share with you the 6-step process. Okay, it's actually 12 steps, but I've cut it down for make it really, really easy. And it's basically CARLS, C-C-A-R-L-S. So it's context, and then challenge, action, result, learning, and suggested action. So they're your 6 steps. And I'll just take you through the story I just gave you about my father and my Rotary story, and then you can see the prism. But basically the first one is context. So when you're telling a story, try and give the person you're talking to a little bit of background as to, you know, where you are in time and space. Who are you, your age, the year, might be the weather or something like that. If it was a movie, it's the opening shot. You know, so we go, oh, we're in New Orleans, you know, Mardi Gras, or we're in New York, 1920s, or we're in dystopian sci-fi land in 2050. So a quick, you know, few moments. Mine was, you know, I'm, you know, late 40s, bringing up a family, I've got my own work, a guy calls me up, he can't do the talk, I can go to, you know, that little sort of scenario. Part 2 is the challenge was I'm asked to join Rotary, I don't have the time, wasn't even thinking about it. So I've got this internal dilemma. What do I do? And then the 3rd step is around the action. Well, I make a decision. You know, I'm going to join Rotary. And that's sort of a turning point. In any story, there needs to be a turning point where things are no longer what it used to be. And the next one is the result. Well, I start working as the speaker coordinator, and I start to, use my skills, and I'm able to, also attract other business to me because of the contacts that I've made in Rotary. And so the lessons that I was giving was that if I want to honour my dad's legacy and be, as good as he was, then I need to do something about that now. And there's never a good time to join Rotary, but you have to find the time. And I guess the suggested actions, which is the final part of the story, is to say you don't have to be full-time Rotary. You can just do the bits that you can do, the 1%ers, the little skill sets that you have that are easy for you, that you find convenient and acceptable, and just do that. And if we all did that, what an amazing organisation Rotary would be, and indeed, what an amazing organisation Rotary is. So I'm Bernadette Schwerdt. That's my little 6-step story template. I hope that's useful to you. All the best. Take care.
Thank you, Bernadette. That was really, really interesting and informative. I think we all love to hear stories about how we all join Rotary, because it really is quite inspiring, our individual journeys. So we've come to nearly the end of our breakout session for Public Image today. To sign off, I'd like to, I think Mark Humphreys wants a few words. So I'm going to hand over to Mark. Hello, Mark. Where's he gone? You're on mute, Mark.
There we go.
Hello.
It's a problem when you have double mute buttons. So thank you, Janet, and thank you, Julie. Absolutely fantastic today. As most people will know, I am pretty hot on the branding, and I've already challenged a couple of people on their branding. Makes me out to be the bad guy, I think, sometimes. I just have a question, probably more for you, Julie. The Rotary theme. I see the Rotary theme as an internal sales tool, something that we sell to ourselves. And I see the Rotary theming, the Rotary wheel, the word Rotary with the wheel, as our external advertising. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. As I said at the start, I sort of see the theme as the ultimate kind of focus, and how I found it very easy with the Gift to the World one. I've seen other themes I thought, I don't know how well I could work with that, but the Gift to the World was beautiful because in the end, and I think the opportunities one is beautiful as well. Yeah. And if you also look at Bernadette's message around you do what you can when you can, and how rewarding Rotary can be, and there's the synergy between all we do in Rotary in our life. It's very easy to be able to tell our Rotary story, Mark, isn't it? And you'll find that as well, in your year as District Governor. So, yeah, I tend to agree with what you're saying. It can be a bit of a marketing tool depending on how you make it work. But there's a lot of authenticity in the last lot of themes that we've had about connectivity, about opportunity, about lighting up the world through Rotary. But from my point of view, I just think there are so many amazing people in Rotary who truly are gifts to our community. And the work that they do is just extraordinary. Yeah. I think we're still a big secret for many people though. And just to share, in my school, I've got Rotary for primary school kids in Early Act, and I've got Rotary for secondary school kids in Interact. The Rotary values, that diversity, that high ethical standards, that leadership, that doing it together rather than alone, resonates so well with young people. And for them, they grab every opportunity that they've got to do what Rotary does in terms of making a difference in their world, in their community. So I think, the annual theme has so many possibilities really for what we can do with it, and it resonates with so many people.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, Julie. And look, I agree. I think we've actually got two themes that have just dovetailed absolutely perfectly with each other. The theme last year, Rotary connects the world. Well, wow, who would have thought Rotary could connect the way we've been forced into connecting with each other? And now the follow-on from that is, well, what opportunities has our current situation actually opened up for us? So to me, the two themes, Rotary connects the world and Rotary opens opportunities, have just dovetailed absolutely perfectly. And the other point that I picked up from you talking earlier today is also one of the things that I've tried to bring across as well is, yes, we all belong to a club, but at the end of the day, we're all Rotarians. And the messaging is we have a story, and that's exactly what Bernadette was saying there. We have a story, and to me, the imagery that we are using on our web pages, and you touched on, both of you, Julie and Janet, touched on it. Don't put the photos of the checks because it means nothing. It might make us feel good, but at the end of the day, if I'm scrolling through a Facebook post, I'm just going to whiz past it. But it is those images of the doing, because we are the people of action, and that is what people want to see. They want to see what we do. It is that telling of the story. We are storytellers. Yeah, we do a lot of grunt work in the background. People don't want to know about that. They want to know what we do and how we are changing people's lives. And again, and I know this is where you were heading with your putting up the Rotary Club Central. We have a whole lot of stock images there, and that they are great images, but all of us in our own clubs, we have those images as well. You can upload those into the Rotary Club Central, and then you can put transforming lives, the end polio, people of action, taglines across those images. So I just really encourage clubs to not just use the stock items, but use the items that connect you to your communities. And I think that is an even more powerful way of getting on with everything. And I love the fact that Jeanette touched on the signs coming into towns. I have a little thought process that's running through my mind. I've still yet to talk to the board about it, but those signs coming into towns, I would like to see as an R100 project for our district. Let's get those signs and everything right. And I'd just like to finish off and saying that I think most of us in our clubs think we use the right imagery. But my question and my challenge to all of you is really go back and have a look. Are we using the right imagery? We have the PI team and the PR team. Use them, right? I am making a flyer. Can you check this? Their role is to check. Their role is not to do. They are there to check to make sure we are. I've just received a whole lot of annual reports, and I was interested in the poll of where there was over 70% of people saying, yes, we're using the right logo. I challenge you. Run those reports by the PI team and see what comes back. But look, again, fantastic effort. Thank you, everyone. PR is really what's going to make a difference for us. And remember, Rotary does open opportunities. What opportunities have you got from today? Thank you.
Now, before we go, we should just take questions if anybody's got some burning questions. Silence from the ranks. I'm taking that as a no. There's no burning questions, which is, Mark's got his thumbs up, so have I. Thank you.
Julie has a question.
Oh, not a question, but one of the roles that I have is this assistant public image coordinator. Sometimes I feel like I'm a bit of a fraud, and then sometimes I think I'm getting there with it. But in our district last year, we just ran some little workshops. Our district public image person and I did some little workshops, and you know, it was pretty low key in some respects, but it was pretty powerful in other respects. So I guess I'm just saying I'm here to support you. I'm here to support the districts in Victoria and Tasmania. I think we do a lot of talking at, and I'm feeling a bit guilty that I talked a lot at today, but you know, more than happy to run some little, I think I'm brave enough to run some little Zoom seminars around particular things that are in the brand centre. And maybe Janet, you and I can do something like that for your district in the future, just an hour, focusing on the brand centre, focusing on how you can actually make your own brochure. And we did that at my school with 20 people, and well, you know, those people that were there really actually did something, you know, and learnt as they went along. So more than happy to help if I can. And thank you for the opportunity for today.
Thank you very much, Julie.